Hello, good morning to all. This is Dr. Subhash. I'm going to talk on reflexes, which is a chapter in central nervous system. In humans, motor activity is organized and controlled at various levels in nervous system. This we all know. The lowest organization in the spinal cord and we will find in the spinal cord and the motor cortex forms the highest level of organization. The descending motor pathways are controlled by basal ganglia, cerebellum, uh, reticular activating system, and some more nucleus subcortically. Influences of all these subcortical components makes the motor activities very smooth and purposeful. At the spinal cord, which we will find the lowest level of organization for the reflex action, which indicates that these reflexes are integrated at various levels in central nervous system. At the spinal cord level, the automatic motor response to a sensory stimulus, automatic that is involuntary, that is called reflex action. The reflex action has neuronal components that is called reflex arc, which consists of receptor, the afferent nerve, the center, the efferent nerve, and the effector organ. The effector organ may be muscle or glands. This reflex action exists even if the spinal cord does not receive the higher center influence. This indicates integration at various levels of the central nervous system, thereby showing that these are the reflexes which are integrated at the spinal cord level itself. We have types of reflexes. The clinical examination of reflexes involves superficial reflexes, deep reflexes, and some pathological reflexes also. Physiologically, broadly reflexes are studied under flexor and stretch reflexes. Flexor, which is a polysynaptic, stretch reflex, which is a monosynaptic reflex. Now we will move towards a little more explanatory component of this understanding of the reflexes. Uh, so we are moving to the next part, right? Okay. Let us start learning about the reflexes, that is physiology of reflexes. As already mentioned, it is a subconscious stimulus response mechanism. Clinically, stimulus response mechanism may tested to identify any abnormalities in the reflex pathway, which may indicate problems within the central nervous system or the peripheral nervous system. Reflexes tested includes superficial and deep tendon reflexes such as triceps, biceps, brachioradialis, patella, and Achilles tendon reflex. What you are looking for in these reflexes are not the movement of the limbs, or rather the contraction of the actual muscles. Our reflex involves sensory nerve fibers delivering information to the central nervous system and motor fibers carrying commands to the effectors via the peripheral nervous system. The reflex arc is a neural wiring of a single reflex and involves few steps. The spinal cord nervous system, the reflex arc includes a receptor reacting to a stimulus such as uh, injury. The afferent neuron, the sensory neuron, transmits the impulse through the peripheral nerve to the central nervous system. The central nervous system is where information processing occurs. The afferent neuron, the sensory neuron, synapses with an afferent neuron or an interneuron, which will then relay information to the afferent neuron. The afferent neuron is motor neuron which exits the spinal cord and delivers the signal to the effector, which is a muscle or gland. In this case, it is a muscle of the flexus of the hand, causing a hand to make a fist to withdraw from the stimulus reflexes. Follow the diagram there. The reflexes are classified according to the development, response, complexity, and processing site. Development include whether the reflex is innate or it's acquired. The reflex responds to the nature of the resulting motor response, whether it's somatic or visceral. Means complexity means of the neural circuit which involve whether it's monosynaptic reflex or a polysynaptic reflex. And finally, the process where the information is being processed, whether it is a spinal cord or the brain, or both of which make up the central nervous system. In this video, we will talk about monosynaptic reflex and polysynaptic reflexes, and also mainly focus on the spinal cord as a site of information processing, because really most of the reflexes, we test our spinal reflexes. So, spinal reflexes range from simple monosynaptic reflexes to more complex polysynaptic. Let's first talk about monosynaptic reflexes. The stretch reflex, the monosynaptic reflex, is the most rapid simple reflex with a single synapse between the afferent neuron and the efferent neuron. An example of a monosynaptic reflex is a patellar reflex. The patellar reflex is a spinal reflex involving the knee joint. In this neural circuit, the patellar tendon is hit with a tendon knee hammer, that is, the resulting effector is a contraction of the quadriceps and then the knee kicking out. There are sensory neurons innervating muscles and tendons which attach to the patella or the kneecap. When the patellar tendon is hit with this, will stimulate receptors within the muscle, which will then activate sensory nerve fibers. The receptors in the muscle fibers, I'm talking about the called muscle spindles, which are extremely important in the reflex arc. Muscle spindles are receptors within the muscle. Here is the tendon of the muscle and here are the muscle fibers, which are called extrafusal fibers, because these muscle fibers are responsible for muscle tone, muscle contraction and then relaxation. The red surrounded by the extrafusal muscle fibers are the intrafusal muscle fibers, which are the muscle spindles. Muscle spindles are essentially receptors which respond to stretch and are innervated by sensory neurons, which are your afferent neurons. In blue here, the afferent neurons which have been activated or stimulated will carry information to the spinal cord. The afferent neurons will synapse with the motor neuron. The efferent neuron, this is a monosynaptic reflex because it only involves one synapse. The afferent neuron will supply the quadriceps muscles and will innervate the extrafusal muscle fibers. The afferent neuron will cause the extrafusal muscle of the quadriceps to contraction, increasing muscle tone. This is the contraction of the quadriceps. When the quadriceps contracts, the knee will kick out. Looking at the patellar reflex arc step by step, The stimulus is a tendon hammer hitting the patellar tendon, which will stimulate the intrafusal muscle fibers. The muscle spindles, the receptors within the muscle spindles react to stretching and movement of the surrounding area. This in turn will stimulate the afferent neurons, the sensory neurons, which will carry the information to the spinal cord. The spinal cord is the information processing site, and so this is an example of a spinal reflex. The afferent neuron will synapse with an afferent neuron in the spinal cord. For neuron, which is a motor neuron, is stimulated and will target the extrafusal muscles of the quadriceps. The extrafusal muscles of the quad will contract, completing the patellar reflex or knee jerk. Now, when we talk about muscle tone, we are essentially talking about the resistance of the muscle to the stretch. It's a good idea to get a grasp on the muscle tone to understand some physiology that can going on when testing knee reflexes. Here are two examples of spinal reflex. The afferent sensor neuron is blue, the information to the spinal cord, which with afferent neuron, which will give the spinal cord to supply the muscle, causing it to contract. If this area is cut, the afferent neuron there will be unable to deliver the signals to the muscle because the muscle has no motor neuron supplying it. To expect a muscle to be hypotonic, low tone in it will be flaccid because there is a disruption in the motor neuron supplying it. For example, the afferent neuron, the motor neuron is continuously firing signals, or there is no inhibition to that efferent neuron. The affective organ, being the muscle, will also get continuously stimulated and become hypertonic, spastic. The patellar or knee jerk reflex was an easy example of monosynaptic reflex. A single synapse, the simplest reflex arc. The polysynaptic reflex produces a more complex response. There can be anywhere from 2 to hundreds of synapses within a polysynaptic reflex arc. Okay. All synaptic reflexes involve entry, neurons, intersegmental distribution along different areas of the central nervous system, and it also involves reciprocal inhibition. Here is the right leg and the knee joint, anterior muscles of the thigh, other quadriceps, and the posterior compartment of the hamstrings. The withdrawal reflex is a polysynaptic reflex that is initiated by no stepped of a stimuli. It can protective mechanism to prevent further injury to the first part of the reflex pathway is the stimulation of receptors in the area, in this case due to a painful stimulus to the foot. The receptors will in turn activate the afferent neurons, which are you or sensory neurons, which will bring the information to a specific spinal cord level. The processing center in the spinal cord, the afferent neuron will synapse with one or multiple interneurons. Neurons here drawn in black are important in the reflex pathway as they enable the sensory neurons to communicate to many other neurons in the area. In this case, the interneuron will relay the afferent neurons information to the efferent neurons. The afferent neuron, which is the motor neuron, will stimulate the hamstring muscles, which are your helps in flexing the muscles, flexor muscles in the effector organ, and then will contract. With polysynaptic reflex, as mentioned, there are many entry neurons involved, and also reflex involves different segments of the spinal cord here. The afferent neuron communicates with another segment of the spinal cord above the stimulation. The on the there interestingly, the interneurons have another ability. They can be excitatory into the neurons or they can be inhibitory interneurons. Excitatory interneurons means they will stimulate the efferent neuron. Here there is another efferent neuron supplying the hamstring, and so it is stimulated to propagate the response that we want. The inhibitory interneuron will inhibit the afferent neurons. In this case, it will inhibit afferent neurons which are supplying the extensor muscles, preventing the extensor muscles to contract. This is an example of a reciprocal inhibition. We discussed about the earlier in the definition of polysynaptic reflexes. That is, in summary, polysynaptic reflexes involve multiple interneurons, many spinal cord segments, and reciprocal inhibition. The brain can also affect spinal cord based reflexes. The brain can facilitate or inhibit the reflex. The motor pattern based in the spinal cord. Here is a coronal section of the brain, cross section of the brain stem, and the spinal cord. Let's take a look at the patellar reflex as an example, how the brain can affect the reflexes. Remember, the patellar reflex involves striking the patellar tendon with a knee hammer. This will stimulate sensory nerve fibers which will carry information to specific level of the spinal cord, where it will synapse with a motor neuron. The motor neuron will stimulate the quadriceps muscles. The quadriceps muscles, which are your extensor muscles, will contract and cause the need to jerk up basically. Need to jerk up. Basically, we learned this reflex to the monosynaptic reflex, which however reflexes are also more complicated and usually involve more than one single signal synapse in the patellar reflex. It is easily understandable. So afferent neurons can also up with inhibitory interneurons which will inhibit efferent neurons which supply the flexors of the leg and hamstring muscles. Here for example, this will allow for a more exaggerated shift. The brain can facilitate or inhibit reflex motor patterns. Based in this spinal cord, an example is a brain's power over the knee jerk reflex, because consciously we can inhibit the reflex, we can control whether our leg kicks out or not. This is because voluntary upper motor neurons can travel to that spinal level and stimulate or inhibit the lower motor neuron, where we are able to tell our legs not to move, or we can even tell our legs to kick out on command, but this will be a true reflex because we are actually volunteering leg doing it. The plantar reflex or Babinski reflex is another example. It is a superficial reflex. The plantar reflex is performed by scraping the sole of the foot from its lateral aspect up to a point medial below the toes. This will stimulate the sensory nerve fibers in the area. The afferent nerve will carry information to the spinal cord. It synapses with an afferent neuron. Afferent neuron will target muscles involved in plantar flexion. And so normal response is plantar flexion to curl the toes or flexion of the toe down. Interestingly, in a normal plantar reflex, you have upper motor neurons continuously inhibiting afferent neurons responsible for stimulating the plantar extensor muscles. So, thus they will inhibit dorsiflexion. a Babinski positive or a Babinski sign positive, typically abnormal sign. The reason is that when the sole of the foot is scratched, the afferent neuron is stimulated and will carry information to the spinal cord as per normal. It will synapse with an afferent neuron which will target plantar reflex. Now, however, in Babinski sign positive, there is a upper motor lesion somewhere, and this is known as pyramidal lesion, as a pyramidal system is part of the voluntary control. As a result, the upper motor neurons do not inhibit the extensor plantar muscles, and so the extensor muscles can contract during this reflex, and the toes curl up and then fan out. The cause of the Babinski sign is either uh, pyramidal lesions as mentioned or underdeveloped pyramidal system. For example, when you are in infant, your pyramidal system is still developing or unmyelinated. Thus, when you elicit the plantar reflex in an infant, it will show positive Babinski sign. This is an primitive reflex in infants. The positive Babinski sign will eventually go away once the pyramidal system develops it. Very important to know that there is no such things as a negative Babinski.
TunePocket.com